If you unbiasedly listen to this music, you listen to it and say, this sounds like Drake, which is not necessarily a good thing. If you are a Drake stan, you understand his narrative and where he is. This is an album about betrayal, and he's saying, look at all y'all who betrayed me. It's up. This comment right here is an amazing comment because I feel like that's how a lot of people feel. I know that's how I feel, where it's like my taste has moved past all of this sound so much that I don't even know exactly what I want, but I know I want something new. A lot of the records sound like Drake records we heard before. So Drake hasn't really changed. My taste is just, but I think maybe I'm just too old. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm too grown and I have grown up thoughts. I don't get it. Which creates an adult bias, right? This is my favorite bar on the entire album. I was Aiden Ross with streams before Aiden Ross had ever streamed. Because I come from this from a technical MC standpoint, and that is a triple entendre in one line. In just the first line, you could break it down that far. Because it's not only saying that he was Aiden Ross as far as helping Rick Ross get streams, like music streams, it's saying that he's also helping him get income streams, and it's also saying that I was Aiden Ross with streams. Aiden Ross is one of the biggest streamers in the world right now. And before live streaming was a thing, Drake was the biggest streamer in the world, or one of the biggest streamers in the world. So he was Aiden Ross with the streams before Aiden Ross was ever streaming. And that's the depth in a line that you just can't deny. Like, I'm not going to sit here and deny that. Whereas if someone tries to be like, oh, they don't like that, that's just complete and utter hate on Drake. Like, it's just complete and utter, hey, that is a triple entendre in one line. Another line that I liked is, please stop asking what's going on with 23andMe. I'm a real nigga and he's not. It's in my DNA. Someone that you called a friend is hanging out with your enemy, dancing around. You can feel bad about that. You can have a problem with that. And then using the 23andMe to not only say LeBron and me, as well as his actual DNA, and doing research on his DNA, you guys deciding if he's ethnically black or not. Using that line in that double entendre way is dope. These are the standout lines for me, and there's a few other ones, but anytime it's not like this, it's not technically sound, it's not using rhetorical devices or wordplay and shit like that, then I'm not really rocking with it, because the actual perspective, the worldview, is not something that I can relate to. Because that's what we said that bars are, right? You either relating to it or you're enjoying the technical aspect of the bar. Like the one about, I got every chain that they ever repped in Virginia. I just can't get behind this line of understanding. It's a shot at Pharrell, but you purchase these things on auction. It doesn't mean anything. Like, so you have a lot of money so you could purchase things? I don't understand the diss here. Like, you didn't steal this chain. You copped a chain that somebody put on auction. I don't get it. It's like buying somebody's house. They sell it and then you mess up their house and be like, yeah, I'm all in your house. I don't get it. Like, that doesn't mean anything. I sold the house. Now let's talk about the Sonics. Drake's always been a person that was in tune with the trend, and he would borrow from so many different places to kind of push himself forward. So something kind of underground bubbling, he goes, attaches himself to that. It's something that people hate and it's something that people love. Now it feels like a lot of the Sonics feel stale, right? On those other projects, he's experimenting and doing things, but we're just talking about Iceman. It's Conductor Williams on the beat, or things that sound like that, but to make them serious, which is great production, which I enjoy my personal taste, or it's things that feel like beat switch Atlanta trap sounds that could work in 2015 to 2020. There's obviously great sonic moments on this project, but it's not that's really hitting you. Now let's talk about the truth. Let's talk about the subject matter, the content. If you buy into that narrative as a fan, this album gives you what you want in that regard from a content space. Now, if you're on the other side, whereas you don't agree with his perspective on the battle, that he got his ass whooped, and this makes no sense a lot of times. You saying that Mustard ain't got no slaps makes no sense when he has like 5 Grammys off of one record and a bunch of slaps on GNX. You saying that the big three, it was too many chefs in the kitchen, like you saying like, oh, fuck the big three, Kendrick already said fuck the big three. We're past that. A lot of the things feel late when it comes to the content of this album. Like, why are we bringing this up exactly? And some of the stuff, it's like, oh, you were hurt by this or you feel betrayed. What is the reason you feel betrayed? What does that feel like? Instead of just acknowledging that, yo, I was betrayed. That's what Dig Deeper is. So on the first record, when he says make them cry, which obviously that make them series on this album is him not only talking to himself because he don't go to therapy, but it's also what everyone's saying to him that he should do. So he's saying the first, let's make them cry. Let me dig deep. And he puts out some heartfelt stuff about his father. It says that he wants to dig deep, but he's afraid of it. That acknowledgement shows an awareness, but he doesn't actually go into it, right? It's just this one record and puts out a few things. See, a great rap album should be a world. It should be an emotional document. And if it's a diss record or even a diss album, then it should be an argument, like in a debate. Like you should have a valid argument. And the problem with this is that Iceman is an album about betrayal. It's about a man. It's a document about a man who feels betrayed. The question is, did Drake make this artful, or is he just complaining over some 808s? I don't get it. I listened to this album and my first reaction is that it's not for me because I can't relate. I can't relate with this perspective. I'm not a really petty individual, so I don't relate to the pettiness, but pettiness is not a problem. Ain't nothing wrong with being petty on a record. It can be entertaining because half of hip hop history is two grown men being poetic about not liking each other. The problem is that pettiness isn't always insightful. Like when it's art, it's insightful. So a diss is just, yo, I don't like you. I hate you. Something that is a great bar needs to be a revelation, be insightful. It's like we find something out. Like the whole 23andMe thing is like, I'm being petty and saying, don't ask about LeBron James, but I'm also telling you, don't talk about my ethnicity and my heritage and DNA. That is a revelation. That is insightful. That is a dope bar. And a lot of times, most of this record is just empty pettiness that I can't relate to personally. It's like I've grown past even hearing this from you as an artist. It's like, wait a minute, shouldn't you be saying something different? Shouldn't you have a different flow pattern, rhyme scheme? Shouldn't you have a different attitude towards this? Because this is the same attitude for the last 15 years. So if you had the same perspective if you're reading This Is Too Late and Scorpion and this, there's not much growth in how you handle issues. I don't see much growth. The fact that What Did I Miss is on here changes how I perceive What Did I Miss, where it's like you're actually thinking about, yo, how did this happen to me? Or I didn't know that we weren't friends and all that, but we're not actually laying in those emotions and delivering lines of those emotions because it seems like you're afraid to put yourself out there in that space. When I listen to the record as the writer, it doesn't seem like he really wants to dive deep into that. Just want to ask the question and leave it kind of open-ended and feel almost empowered by the question versus actually going into it. And for me, as a listener, I'm going to need more. I'm going to need to know why, or the song just got to be incredible. Just got to be a slap. Another miss for me is Ran to Atlanta. Like, I love Future's part when he's like, don't even know what day it is. That whole part's good. Molly Santana has a good flow too on their beat parts. And parts of the production I enjoy, but all of it together feels like a mess. And trying to flip Ran to Atlanta where Kendrick said, you run to Atlanta when you need a few dollars. Should have ran to Toronto and make Toronto music. That'd have been more of a subversion and tried to negate what was said by Kendrick. But in my eyes, it's just kind of proving it. Like, you're not really subverting that in any way. Premise is really strong. Drake feels betrayed by the world. If you imagine being Drake for a decade, you are the machine. You are the hit maker. You're the stimulus package, the economy of the music industry. Everybody comes to you for a hit record or wants to be associated with you musically because you're winning. And all the people who came to you before visibly turn on you during this battle or are quiet. So you feel betrayed after you felt that you created all these relationships and helped out and extended a hand to all these people and they turn on you and you make an album saying, fuck all y'all. That's a perfectly fine premise to an album and being like, I'm ice cold. I am the Iceman. But the problem is he keeps approaching that depth through grievance. There's a line where Drake says, I wasn't suing him, I was fighting the man. And that premise and idea is a great concept of someone who was the industry darling, like the face of the industry, becoming a whistleblower, saying, I've reached the top and look at what they're doing. But that's not what's happening here. Like, it's all about scorekeeping. I saw what you posted. I see how fake you are. Look, you're jealous. You switch sides. You're not going into the idea of you being against the industry because it's not really true. From your business standpoint, and I'll make a whole video about the business of Drake, which is completely understandable. From your business standpoint, you're like, I want to get out of the deal. I want to get the most money possible from the deals that I got, and I want my independence. The whole idea of being free, which we all root for independence, right? But to try to pit other artists who are exploited by the industry as the ones pushing you down or exploiting you makes no sense. That's not what's actually happening. So it's a false narrative to say that these other artists are exploiting me when they're being exploited by the same system that is exploiting you, even at the highest level. So this is someone who's making so much money, does all the streams, has all these big numbers and achievements, and is still getting exploited. And it was like on some Yeezus shit, like what Kanye did on Yeezus, you would be attacking these systems. But he's not attacking the systems. He's attacking the fake friends and jealousy and envy. And me having that perspective again makes me not relate to the subject matter and the content. But I think maybe I'm just too old. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm too grown and I have grown up thoughts. I don't get it. Which creates an adult bias. Right? I don't get it.